Hi, welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. So my classic arm inspection today is Run for Cover by Gary Moore. It was released September 2nd, 1985, so it's 40 years old today. So I distinctly remember this period. I just got back into guitar myself, and Gary Moore, great player. He's had two quite big hits off his arm with Out in the Fields and Empty Rooms. And he's very much the British, Irish, as it were, guitar player, guitar hero. There was mainly Americans, but he was one of our own. I remember on the kids' TV programme Number 73 that people may remember, he did the doorbell sound with harmonics. And after that programme, every time someone went and rang the door on Number 73, it would be Gary's harmonics. So it was great. I think this is the best for me of his hard rock solo albums. Obviously you can go back to his Gary Moore Grindstone album and then the Back on the Streets album, but I think when he does Corridors of Power, that's when he establishes how he's going to go about this, you know, getting in really good players. You got that, Fixing the Future, this, Wild Frontier, After the War, and they've all got similarities. Sometimes he has guest singers or extra singers, but mostly it's him. He tended to diss this era after he went bluesy. We've still got the blues, but I never really totally believed him in as a blues player. I know it might be sacrilege, but if you go back to his early days and when he was in the Coliseum, he's always been more of a hard rock player with a blues influence. So, you know, it's pretty fiery, his take on the blues. He's kind of more like Joe Bonamassa. It's more like of a rock blues, but other people can disagree with that. But it's opens with Run for Cover. This is a great track. Really like this. Cool riff. I remember him playing this on the Old Grey Whistle test and like girding with his face, you know. Great solo. I really like the way Gary uses the tremolo bar at this time as well. He does the whammy slurring, he does harmonics. I think it's really cool. Again, purists later on would diss that. It's not a Les Paul. You know, he's using a Charvel, but that's just what I grew up on. It's what I like. Then you got Reach for the Sky. Glenn Hughes sings this, another really good track. A nice kind of funky groove on this. I really like the kind of pre-chorus on this, where he kind of goes into a slightly jazzy voice, and that was something he's very good at, Gary Moore. Like Hold On to Love, or I can't think of anything immediately offhand, but you'll know what he does, and he often plays like a really nice guitar line and maybe put an octave on it. Then you got Military Man. This is going back to Grand Slam. It says Lynyrd Archer Stanway, Phil Lynott doing the vocals. So it was obviously a Grand Slam track. I quite like this track, not as much as the other two, but it's got a quite a nice sort of some good drum patterns, nice staccato riff. Bit longer this track, 5:40, and Gary does some nice whammy slurring in this. Then you got Empty Rooms. I mean, the debate would range, is the Victim of the Future Empty Rooms better? What I would say is the solo, that extended solo on the Victim of the Future Empty Rooms is just gorgeous. But I think this version's better recorded and it benefits from the smaller arrangement, and Gary still has a beautiful solo on this. Again, I think I remember him doing this on Top of the Pops with his kind of hammer with the two sort of curved horns, like a kind of Les Paul cross and SG. His hammer's Principal Endorser, I think, really superb. Out of My System, so this is a kind of deep cut on the album, really. I really like this. Glenn Hughes does the vocals. It's written by Gary. This is great, catchy. Glenn Hughes, you know, amazing. Really, it would be better if Glenn sung every track because he's amazing, but you know, you couldn't rely on Glenn Hughes at a time. It's probably best not to involve him, you know, extensively. Then you got Out in the Fields, doesn't need a mention really. It's great. It's got loads of energy. The solo's absolutely fantastic. Definitely one of the great solos to be a hit. That fantastic run up the fretboard, just some lovely whammy slurring. If you remember on the video, he actually uses an Ibanez. He was endorsing Ibanez at the time. He had the Pro Rocker trem on it. I've done it with some, like, I forget what the model was called on the video. I don't know how much he used them. But I remember I had an Ibanez and I had a Pro Rocker trem. Then you got Nothing to Lose. I really like this track. Dun, 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 dun. It's got that crunchy riff. The solo on this is hauling, you know. He just, one thing Gary Moore does is what I call big ass bends, you know. He goes, and then he does his classic where he puts in the flat five of the blues scale, and everyone copies that, you know, Blue John Sykes, and people like that. He just fucking massive bend. Glenn Hughes is top on it, really good. So then the album tails off, all messed up. It's just Neil Carter plays keyboards in this. It's just a kind of bluesy track with slide guitar, kind of up tempo, but it doesn't stand up. Listen to Your Heartbeat, the last track's nice. It's a bit poppy. He does a nice whammy slurry solo, but it tails off. But it is an 8 out of 10, this album. My biggest criticism of this album is the production. It's of its time, but it's not good of its time. The guitars are very brassy. It has tinsely keyboards. The master I've got from Tower 3 is not great. It's quite harsh. So what this needs to happen with this, someone really needs to get into the mastering again with it, the original tapes, and get rid of some of the harshness of the top end and fill out the bottom end a bit. But Gary Moore never, I wouldn't say he made a great sounding record. I would say Vixen of the Future, some of the tracks on that are still my favourite of this era. Obviously Murder in the Skies, Vixen of the Future, his cover of Shapes of Things, Hold On to Love, Murder in the Skies. It got amazing lead guitar on it, but this album's more consistent songwriting. He was a great hard rock player, and this was a format that suited him and suited his voice. But he did really well in Europe with this, Sweden, in Norway, Finland. He was very big there. Did well in Germany, I'm just looking here, but not success in America. And when he did Still Got the Blues, I gave him a gold album. It might have gone platinum, actually. The sales for that was something like 2 million worldwide. So he saw where things were going, Gary Moore. And the very right time he switched genre, and he was savvy to do that. But a lot of people prefer Corridors of Power is often a favourite album with people, and I think that's because I've got into it at the time. It's Dirty Fingers as well, which I think was kind of got released on Jet, and you had to scrap that. I can't remember what happened. Anyway, notice here is Paul Thompson plays on this. Obviously Roxy Music. I'm in the Newcastle area, and Paul Thompson's like a local guy. He often posts on Facebook. So some great players on this: Bob Daisley, Don Airy, obviously Phil, Gary. I think another thing with the production, you got Andy Johns, Peter Collins, Beau Hill, Mike Stone. He's got Tony Platt's engine, and he's got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies on this, probably to try and get hits in the American market. It's worked in Europe and the UK, but not quite that way. But really, really good album, a great era of Gary Moore for me, with some fantastic playing. He really was one of the greats. Just a guy who could plug in and had fucking sheer guts in his playing. So was there a more gutsy rock player than Gary Moore? Probably not. Great stuff. So glad to do a Gary Moore review here. Much missed. So remember, share and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you very much.